Dehydration, and this won't stay.
You don't want to see what's behind it.
Oh, jeez. Contraband. Contraband.
It's just we're not drinking it. We're using it. We're trying to utilize it for something different.
We'll use this one to hold it up. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Hydrated Mind and Soul. My name is Mikey Schmitz.
And I'm Dr. Amanda Hackford, and we are here with a show today with the real-life Bobby Boucher, basically, which is the water boy who we have right here. Mikey is like the real-life water boy. If you don't know who that is, you need to watch the Adam Sandler movie. So then you'll get a more idea of where we came up with that name. Unless you've already seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. So it is the real-life Bobby Boucher, and it's turning water into wellness. And
Yes.
I'll let him get into more about the exacts of the water being wellness for you.
So I am the real life Bobby Boucher. I'm a water nerd. And I got into holistic health and wellness about 20 years ago. I worked at Whole Foods in management, did all the things, worked in beverage. And then my mom had breast cancer 11 years ago. And because of her battle, that was actually one of my biggest reasons into getting into water. Because believe it or not, I wasn't a water drinker a long time ago. I was a whiskey guy, energy drink, all this stuff. And my grandpa died of cancer, colon cancer. My grandma passed away of lung cancer. My father was stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver, but he also had colon cancer. And then my mom, a month ago, as we talked about, she just passed of stage 4 lung cancer. So it's a passion of mine, and water is life. It is sacred. So that's literally why I called my company. So what I do is I have a alkaline water filtration company that turns people's houses into a living alkaline spring. So it's completely different than any other water filtration out there on the market. It's remineralized. It's hydrogen enriched. It's so special. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today is, I guess I'll start with bottled water.
Yeah, this is okay. So we know you don't like the bottled water.
Yeah.
You've slowly weaned me away from a few of my drinks. Okay, I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm getting there slowly. So I do drink some water. I used to drink no water. So Mikey knows this, and everybody that knows me knows that I'm not a water drinker, but I have started. Same reason, basically. My cancer journey really pushed me to be a little healthier. Not the healthiest, but at least start some exercise, start incorporating water. So you were the start of of that, but it is for a good reason, and it makes a lot of sense. You know why? As to why? Because I didn't know some of the things. I'm thinking I'm drinking water, I'm doing great. But then I got all the facts of, wait a minute, that water is not great. And you're like, darn. So, so you can tell us, because, I can give you some about mental health, which made me sound like a hypocrite, because here I am telling people about how water helps their mental health truly. It regulates cortisol, and so it reduces the stress the hormone that regulates your stress and things. So that's really good for your mind.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing it, but I am now. So everybody knows that I am starting.
I love it. I think, was it you or Kayla when I first met you that was drinking a Monster?
It was me.
It was you.
It was me. It was me. I know.
I was like, girl,
it's really bad.
You gotta get it. But I'm the same way. I drank energy drinks for a long time, and it got to the point where I was doing like 2 or 3 of, I think it was like a Ghost energy drink or something like that. And I started to have gnarly heart palpitations to where I was literally just sitting down, not moving, and it felt like my heart was going to blow up. So I was like, we're not doing this anymore.
A bunch of them, though, in one day is crazy. Yeah. That's right. Like one a day is my okay, after the one in the afternoon, I'm good. Or whatever, but like a several in a day, there has been only 1 or 2 times I had more than one in a day. And I really thought something was wrong with me. And I was like, maybe, honestly, like when I went for my jog and I had 2 energy drinks, and I told my friend that was with me, I was like, what if we run after this? Am I going to have a heart attack after these like energy drinks,
It's crazy. So, too much caffeine. All right. So bottled water. So I'm going to unravel the little dirty secrets of the bottled water industry. And it's actually one of the most unregulated industries that we have in the nation. And I'll start off with where bottled water came from. So the big soda companies, we all know who they are. In order to make their soda, they have to purify water. and then they force carbonate it with carbon dioxide, and then they put all their high fructose corn syrup, all the nasty stuff in there to create the soda. Well, a long time ago, they had an excess of that purified water and said, why don't we bottle it and try to sell it? Okay. Here we are today. There's this billions and billions of dollars in this bottled water industry because no one wants to drink their tap water because it's full of other stuff, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So bottled purified water is at least clean. I tell people all the time, bottled purified water, I've done a lot of testing on it. It has no chlorine in it, no contaminants, because it is reverse osmosis. It's a process that they use to purify it. So it's probably the most trusted one out there when it comes to bottled water.
That was what I was going to ask you. That was my question, because I remember you telling me, but forgot. For those that you're maybe traveling or you're doing something, you want to get water, like which is the best to grab? So it's purified, not spring or what?
Purified, I would recommend, and then like bring some electrolyte packets with you is what I do when I travel, because the problem with purified water is that it's when you do reverse osmosis, you take all the good and all the bad out of the water. So it doesn't have any minerals. So what can happen is, number one, when you drink that water, it actually pulls and strips minerals out of your body, and then we urinate them out. So we wonder why a bunch of us are mineral deficient. It's because of the water.
Okay.
Right? That's one thing. Number two, purified water is like a 4 or 5 on the pH scale. It's extremely acidic. So what thrives in acidity? Sickness and cancer.
Exactly.
Right? So that's why it's like a catch-22 when it comes to bottled water and purified water. But like me personally, I guess I get like a Life Water or a Smart Water. They're not the greatest, but for me, I know that it's at least purified or whatever.
You just look for purified rather than the other, because there's like, say, people working outside hot and they're drinking all this water thinking they're doing good because they want to stay hydrated, but I know for example, for a fact, is some of the guys that work for my husband, they work out in the heat and they drink waters and they're still dehydrated. So they started doing the electrolyte drinks and packets and things like that. One of them particular, because he kept getting dehydrated and he's like, I'm drinking water all day. I'm like, I don't know, so I'm like, just keep drinking water. But now, like, as I've been with you, I've learned like to tell him like, no, you need more than water, so he does buy, I don't know if it's a great drink, but buy some electrolyte drinks, and then he has packets that he puts in that are sugar-free that have electrolytes, which one is what, but he does a lot better than just drinking the plain water. So that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's funny too, because salt is so demonized in the American diet, but it's one of the best things for your health. When someone has a heart attack, they give them like 900 milligrams of salt.
Yep.
Which is minerals, right? And that's what it needs. And it's just one part of it. But so purified water is at least clean. So bottled spring water, there are really weird regulations on it where it only has to be 20% actual spring water.
Oh.
So spring water is probably one of the worst that you can buy on the market. 80% of it can literally be tap water. So when I do testing on spring water, like some of the local ones or different ones, big brands, whatever, it tests disgusting. And maybe we can throw a picture in here later about what it actually tests like. It's gross. So spring water is a no-no, no matter what it is. I don't care. Fiji, all of them. Like, it's just, it is what it is. It's just not good water. And then bottled alkaline water is a lie. And that's why when it comes to doctors, there's this like, is it good for you? Is it bad for you? Because the only thing that they really see out there is the bottled stuff. And the bottled stuff is fake. If you look on the back of these bottled waters that are alkaline, it says purified water by reverse osmosis. All right, cool. We clean the water. Second ingredient is sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah. Okay.
That's freaking baking soda.
Yeah.
High amounts of baking soda can cause stomach issues, acid reflux, GERD, headaches. Everything that water is supposed to help with, it does all of that to you. So if people are drinking that every day, it's really bad for them. Because in order to make it that 9.5 pH, it's tablespoon after tablespoon after tablespoon.
But they're thinking they're doing really good, because all you hear from everyone for everything, no matter what it is you have, is drink more water. Exercise, drink water. Exercise, drink water. Those are the things we're told all the time by every doctor for everything. And it's true. Like, those do good for you, but if you don't know all these little things about water, and most people don't, like I didn't know the details and ins and outs, and marketing wise, spring water to me sounds really good. Like, oh, a spring, all natural. Like, that's what I first think of, like purifies me. It's like, okay, they did something, filtered it or something in my, my mind. I don't know what it is, but either way, I'm drinking water, water is good for me. That's what comes to mind, So I'm sure That's what most people think,
Yeah. And so like in the bottled alkaline waters, it's got the sodium bicarbonate. So people see sodium and they're like, oh, mineral, right? But it's sodium bicarbonate. Then the next one, they see magnesium sulfate. They go, oh, magnesium. But magnesium sulfate's just like a salt.
Yeah.
It's still a salt. Like you're getting a little bit of minerals from that one. But then you see calcium chloride. And people see calcium and they're like, cool, right? Calcium chloride is the salt that they put on the roads in cold states to eat snow. The ones that rust your car, that's what calcium chloride is. And that's in a lot of bottled alkaline waters. So again, there's a ton of misinformation. The water's been overprocessed for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we've killed it basically. So what our system does is it brings it back to life. Just the way that nature intended it, just the way that God created water. That's what I did when I built the system the way that I did, because not only do I filter it from the city, but we remineralize it. So we're giving it all the good electrolytes and minerals back. And then we're also putting the proper hydrogen amount in there to do what's called a micro-clustering process. And I'm going to get real nerdy with you real quick.
That's okay. And it can be well water too. It doesn't have to be a city water. It can be well water, whatever water you have, you work with.
Rainwater reclamation we can do as long as you have a pump. So ionization and microclustering is basically taking the water molecule from like this big and shrinking it so tiny that your body can absorb it at a cellular level. And there's a lot of ionizing machines out there, and they're all great. Some of them are cool in what they do. But the problem is they're not filtering the water. Even like you see the hydrogen bottles that are out there nowadays.
Yeah, and they have the air coming in spinning. Okay, I've seen that. Actually, my pastor's had one, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was doing.
Yeah, and it's doing that ionization process. It's basically forcing hydrogen into the water. And I mean, water is H2O. It's 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, right? Well, when we ionize it and we microcluster it, it actually, and I don't know if this is true, but just the way I picture it, it's almost like H3O because it's a ton of hydrogen that's being put in there, right? And hydrogen in water acts as a natural antioxidant at the same time. So it's really good for you. I've been doing hydrogen water before it was a trend, before it was a fad, before it was cool, right? I started this 5 years ago, but when it comes to the bottles or the ionizers, if you're using dirty water, so if you're using like tap water or microplastic filled bottled water, even if it's purified, there's still a ton of microplastics in there. It's going to make it easier for your body to absorb the toxins when you shrink the water molecule. So it's not good for you. So I always tell people, yeah, those bottles are great. You spend $500, $1,000 on them, whatever it is. But it's now making it easier for those toxins to just completely absorb into your body. And what water are you starting with is the key factor.
In there that you're pouring in that bottle of what is it doing? Yeah, because then your body's absorbing whatever you just ionized more and put more hydrogen into. I get that. That's understandable. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that it's becoming a fad or more popular, whatever you want to call it, with these bottles, because I've been seeing them and I never saw them before, is because more people are learning more and more about our water. Everybody's always just thought water was amazing, but they are figuring out the things that you're starting to talk about and have kind of shared with us today. So they're looking for something else, looking for better. How can I make my water better? And I've seen a lot of people actually with those bottles had no idea what they were. Like sitting there and I see little things spinning and the bubbles come up and they're like, oh, it's really good for me. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, oh, cool.
What is that?
Like, I don't know, whatever. I mean, whatever floats your boat. Go ahead, drink it, I mean, that's me. I saw, I don't drink everything great for me. So it is what it is. But I always wondered what it is because you see it sit there water and they're drinking all this thing with the bubbles coming up. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
And they'll just say, oh, it's really good for you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, but why or how? I don't know.
What does it do?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm super passionate about when it comes to water too, because there's a lot of water companies out there that don't know water. They know how to soften water. They know how to filter out chlorine. That's about it. They don't know about properties or qualities or what the water really needs to be. And I know that because I've talked to like 15 different suppliers and manufacturers, and I found one that would build the system for me the way that I wanted it. So it shows that my industry, they're all doing the same thing, except for me and maybe one other company in the entire nation.
What's the good pH? Because is there a certain pH you should be drinking for your body is the best? Because you see all those bottles and there's like, they tell you what the pH of the bottle is. Like, you look at them and to me, it's just all water. Water is water in my mind because I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable about those type of things. So what's your good pH, to be at? Because I know you have your little testers and which is good because you can come and test people's water and tell them what is and is not in their water, depending on what they have. They're on a system or they have well water or whatever it is they're using. And you have your stuff that'll show you. And when you test it, and I watched that the one day, I was like, oh my goodness, like showing what's in certain waters. You even had some bottled waters of the one I watched.
Yeah.
And differences where there was a lot better ones than others, but some like the tap water was like, oh my gosh, are you really drinking this? Are we drinking this? Thankfully, I'm not because I don't really drink a lot of water. So I'm not, but what I am drinking is probably worse. Coffee. So it's fine. Yeah. Well, they make, I said that to our producers the other day. I was like, it's in my coffee. I use water to make coffee.
There's ice in there.
It's fine.
We're good.
But it's probably not good water now. Now you're just ruined that for me. So that's okay. That's done. I have to find, different water for the coffee too. It's fine.
Yeah. It's wild too because people try and drink a ton of water and they buy all these bottled waters and they're lugging them or they're getting 5-gallon jugs and all this stuff thinking that they're doing better, but they're not because the reality is that bottled water, when you buy it off the shelf, it's 18 to 24 months that it was sitting in plastic. So the statistic is, and we'll get into statistics here soon.
I love those. Okay.
If you drink bottled water every single day, every single week, you are consuming a credit card's worth of microplastics every single week.
From it absorbing from the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because it's been sitting, and water's a solvent. So the way water works is whatever it's around, like it takes 100 years, but if you throw a tire in a river, it's going to disintegrate because the water dissolves it over time. Water is a solvent, so it's always going to leach and leach and leach, and it's going to end up in the water. So if it's whatever it's sitting in, it can do the same thing.
Right.
Even with the aluminum can ones and all that crazy stuff that's out there now.
Oh yeah, there is. There's a lot of ones in actual cans that look like a soda, but it's water. And yeah, it's crazy. There's so many. But a lot of the people are doing this not knowing. They think their water is good. So that's where on my side, on my end, I give good credits to the people drinking lots of water because in their mind, they don't know this stuff. I don't know half this stuff unless you really are really knowledgeable and you dive deep and you start researching. You don't know all this about water. So you're thinking you're doing your body good and you're getting your water in and you're doing what the doctor told you because you've had your gallon of water for the day, not knowing what you're actually doing, which is pretty much with anything we eat or drink, really, if you want to be honest here. So, I mean, it's like whatever, you got to something. It doesn't matter what it is. Something is bad for us in some way, pretty much, but we'll leave that there. Yeah. On my end, on my statistic that I know as far as the brain is concerned, 75% of our brain is water.
Yep.
It's made from water. So if you think about that, it has to replenish itself. So what you're putting in, whether it's coffee or soda or whatever it is, there's water in that stuff. The type of water obviously matters because it's replenishing your brain. That's 75%.
Correct.
And that's a huge number. That's not like, 15% of your brain is water. 75% of your brain is water. So as I thought more and more about the things that you've shared and taught me, and then I researched myself, I already knew that. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, when it comes to mental health and people's brain fog or depression or things they may be going through, if you think of bad things you're putting in there that replenish that 75% of water, I started digging into that, and it actually it throws off your electrolyte balance. Okay, that's kind of a common sense if you're thinking about water. But on top of that, if the electrolyte balance is kind of out of whack in your brain with that being that much water and absorbing it affects your neurotransmitters. So me, I have to go into the brain part because that's my deal. So I'm like, let me think about this bad water. Like, what is the brain doing here? So it affects the neurotransmitters, which then you get that mental health, that emotional stability, the stability mentally and emotionally basically is now thrown off. So I'm thinking, well, how much? So now I'm seeing, and I'm like in this rabbit hole of like, well, how much of some of our mental health issues because of what's being absorbed by their brain from what we're eating and drinking. So like that had me down a whole rabbit hole the other night when we were going to do all this water stuff because I'm like thinking of statistics I already know. And then I'm like, wait a minute, adding this stuff I didn't know into it to try to see, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is, going to have to drink more water today. Good water.
Yeah. No, it's wild because like the human body obviously is around 70-75% water too. So water is life. but it's just been misconstrued and all this misinformation on different things when it comes to it. So like when people try and, if you chug a bunch of water, say this big cup right here, if you chug that whole thing of normal like fridge water and you jump up and down, you can feel it move and slosh around in your stomach. It's because the water is dead. It's because the water molecule is too big to absorb, right? So that's why people are drinking so much water, not getting hydrated. Well, when you do the microclustering process or ionization with the hydrogen enrichment, it shrinks the water molecule. So it never happens. I could drink this whole thing and jump around and it won't move in my stomach. I might be a little full and then it'll slowly absorb really quickly too. Well, I guess that was a oxymoron, but still. Slowly absorb really quickly.
No, it makes sense. You're actually absorbing it. It's just a slower process of absorbing. And dehydration too. So it really did take me down a rabbit hole, because when I thought about, I've already also known that dehydration can sometimes mimic anxiety. So sometimes when people come and talk about anxiety, one of the things is like water. Like all of us doctors are like, how are you drinking water? Here I am not drinking water, asking the patient, are you drinking water? And so not knowing about the water, but knowing that people that are dehydrated, not severely dehydrated, you get into all the other serious stuff, but slight dehydration can mimic anxiety sometimes. So people can feel anxious or have those anxiety feelings and it be that they're dehydrated, or they can truly have anxiety.
For sure.
But you're trying to narrow down kind of why and do your scale of, what's causing this before you really delve into the mental health part, because sometimes it's a quick solution like that, and then other times it's okay, no, we're hydrated, let's get to the issue.
A little deeper.
Yeah. And so that was one thing that I thought about too. I'm like, wow, that makes sense, because some people can be even more so have those symptoms if they're not hydrated properly with the right water and the things that I'm just newly learning about the water itself. Always thinking if they're drinking all this water, okay, it's not that, but it could possibly be. And I looked up a study, of course, and research.
Oh, you were down the rabbit hole.
I have to. That's me. Like, I'm the researcher. I like statistics. And so I was reading a study that they took people that drank a lot of water and withheld water from them, and it made them less calm, more anxious. And that went right alongside what I had just told about making them feel anxious, but they restricted their water to see what would happen with restricting their normal intake. And so it made them less calm. It made some of the people like freak out and feel like they were having panic attacks and things like that. But it was the water restriction, because the only thing they changed was that. They didn't change any other element in the research study. It was just the restriction of water. And so that's where I'm like, okay, well, that backs up the data we have about, being anxious or having those symptoms if you're dehydrated. But they also, the other one I did was that increased water take. So now we're going to go the opposite and increase people's water take. That study was they had less confusion, less fatigue, which we all know about hydration. But if we're not hydrating properly, then how do we fix those things? Because I would get frustrated because I would start my little I'm going to do better journey and drink more water and exercise, but I didn't feel any better. So I was like, well, whatever. If I'm not going to feel better anyway, I'm not going to do it, So, and that was my mindset, and it still is, because I'm like, why am I going to drink all this water and I don't feel any different? So might as well just have my energy drink, or might as well have my coffee. Like, seriously, because if you don't see a change, why are you putting this effort into not seeing a change? If we find the right water and we're really getting hydrated, we would see the change and then maybe not get frustrated. And I'm only speaking for my own personal circumstance, because I've always been told to drink water. I've never been a water drinker. So, but that's what my mindset was, is I would go on my I'm going to get healthy journey and then be like, this isn't changing anything. Never mind, So, and it's true, because you're like, you get frustrated if you don't see any changes, even whether it's the way you feel or whatever. So, and that was for me.
Quality.
And even disturbed moods, things like that it was saying like, the intake would, cause less disturbed moods. They were feeling a little happier. Not like water is going to just make you happy all the time. I'm not saying that, but in those small elements like that, it can really help. So.
Maybe it does, because I'm goofy,
I know,
go lucky all the time.
Yeah. So your water, you've got the good stuff.
Yeah, I do. And, some of the things that people notice when they first get my system are obviously hair and skin are 10 times softer within the first few days to a week. So I've had clients that have eczema disappear in a week. I've had all kinds of different stuff where people have these testimonials where they weren't getting, they weren't getting
Show
the
fail.
proper hydration. And this won't stay.
You don't want to see what's behind it.
Oh, jeez. Contraband.
It's just
Contraband.
we're not drinking it. We're using it. We're trying to utilize it for
All
something
right,
different.
we'll use
than
this
drinking
one to hold it up. All right, so yeah, all these testimonials of people doing that, and then like some of the biggest things that people notice are obviously hair and skin are softer, mental clarity and focus, and they sleep better. And it all goes to what you were just talking about with the brain. Like it makes total sense. And water is just so precious, but it's just looked at as this basic thing, but it's literally life. Mm-hmm. Like babies when they're born, when they're first born, they're the most alkaline.
Okay, but hold on. Think about that. Or maybe you have.
Yeah.
Is what is the baby growing inside of in the mom until her sac of water,
Yes.
the water breaks, the baby comes. So
Yes.
that's what it's living in.
It's life.
The water. Yeah, it's crazy. That's true.
It's literally life. And like it's so funny because growing up, I've been just attracted to the water like a fish. So like beaches, ponds, lakes, rivers, I need to be around water. And when I lived in Maryland, I wasn't really near any water, and I felt like seasonal depression. Like it was a real thing. And I moved to California 15 years ago, and all of a sudden, mood's different, sun's shining, I get the water. So like it's so crazy how God works, and he just kind of like took me in this giant circle to all the way around water. He's like, oh, you're not going to drink water? You're going to freaking make a system and change the world with water. You're like, we're going to make you do this, right? And one of the biggest things that people talk about, so like most people drink their fridge water because they say they have
the little filter in there. Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Most people do. That filter is like this big.
You're going to ruin something else for me.
I'm sorry. It's
ahead.
all out of love.
Listen, it's good. It's all good.
It's always love. So that fridge filter is a super basic, cheap activated carbon. And if you look up online, you can Google it, ChatGPT, whatever, you'll find out that it only filters out chlorine. All the other stuff, there's anywhere between 10 and 30 contaminants in most water municipals, chemicals, carcinogens, different things. Right. And chlorine is the craziest one to me because I know they have to do it for bacteria, but you're literally getting bleach water through your shower.
Right.
That's what it is.
And your skin absorbs that.
Correct.
Because we all, or maybe not we all, but we all know the skin is our largest organ.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes people don't ever think of skin as an organ. They know it is, but you don't really think about it. You think about all the inside organs. You don't think about this skin is your biggest, largest organ. So even swimming in your pool and things like that's not bad. You swim in the pool. That is not going to keep me out of my pool. It's one of my favorite places.
Switch to a salt pool.
But saltwater, they have the saltwater pools now, and that was a newer thing. They didn't have that years ago. There was only chlorine water, things like that, especially here where we're at in Florida, where pools are just like everywhere. A big deal. A lot of homes have pools. We have all these community pools. Even though we have the beach, it's still, but they do have the saltwater now. Even though
it converts to chlorine, it's just different.
Yes.
And it's different in the way that it works for you. But chlorine messes up your microbiome too. Mm-hmm. So like if people are drinking their fridge water, which is barely taking out like the majority of the chlorine, but I test people's houses all the time and they're like, I just changed the filter 2 months ago. And I'm like, well, there's chlorine still coming through. Yeah. It might taste better because it's less than what's in the tap water, but chlorine's still coming through. So you're destroying your microbiome, which people consider your first or second brain. Your brain and your gut, they're connected. So it's really bad for you. And it's just one of those things that's just there, but people don't think about it. They're like, oh, it's regulated, right? And like, yes, I will say the municipals follow their legal regulations. But me personally, being in health and wellness, does that deem it safe for us as humans? I'd say no.
No, just like a lot of stuff we're allowed to consume. Here, in all other countries, we're not allowed to. No. But here, it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that's a whole other story. But
oh, geez.
That's a whole other story. But as a water drinker, I say water drinkers because I never was a water drinker. But my husband and I know we have to, but that's what's good about us is that we, with our relationship with Jesus, we agree to disagree with people, and 100%. It's okay. Yeah. Like, I agree with you, though, on this one. I just need to practice it. Like I
Yeah.
need to put it into action.
Well, it's tough.
But, but water drinkers, the old thing that I would always find weird, because my husband's a water drinker, my daughter's a water drinker, even from young. When I was a kid, I wanted like juice and soda, whatever I could, mom said no to, that's what I wanted to drink. And so, but with my daughter, she's always liked water. And most kids want, they want sweet and something. But to them, they would always say, oh, I don't like that water. Well, I don't like that water. I'm like, it's all water. And they're like, no, they taste different. And to me, I hear a sip of water here and there. I'm like, no, they don't. To me, I couldn't tell a taste difference.
Really?
And so they're like, because you don't drink water. This is nasty water and this is good water. And so, and I'm like, well, no, there's no such thing as water. Water's water. Water tastes like nothing, and that was our one, like, how do you taste water differently? But now explaining all those different things that are in the water more so than others. The only thing I could ever taste is that there was a few times where I had tasted water that I could taste chlorine. But other than that, with bottled waters, I don't taste any different.
Oh,
but I'm
man.
weird. I know, but I don't drink it enough. That's why.
Yeah, and also like my clients say it all the time that they become bougie water drinkers.
Yes,
It's that crazy.
True.
It's
That's
that
my
different.
husband and my daughter.
And they can't drink anything other than my water now because that's just what they're used to. So any other water, once you drink mine for like, let's say a month, and then you go and you try and drink a bottle of water, it tastes like junk. Like it's so crazy. And like you're so sensitive to chlorine because your house isn't chlorinated anymore. You have clean water, right? You have this living spring coming through every faucet. And when I go out to restaurants, I cringe. I have to get like an Arnold Palmer instead of a water because the water is so nasty, chlorinated. They're giving us tap water. Oh, yeah, it's filtered. Yeah, you know what? It's filtered.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. I can taste it. And I'm going to start bringing chlorine drops.
You can take your water to your restaurants. I take my own coffee to other places.
Yeah.
So you can take your water.
That's true.
It's
I
like, as
could.
long as you're buying food and you're eating the stuff, like, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, basically, my company, Sacred Alkaline Water, this is such a passion for me, and I just want to change people's lives. I have a really nonprofit. I won't say what it is because until we actually create
There's
it,
idea stealers
I don't need
out there.
someone stealing my
I know.
idea.
I won't say it either.
We have some fun stuff coming with the company, but water is just so special. So the whole reason we did this podcast today is to enlighten people and everyone that's watching. Think about the water you're drinking, and we can install nationwide. So if you're looking for something like this, we could make it happen for you. I'm literally installing a system in Jamaica in the next 2 months that I just did an appointment with yesterday. So really dive into this, because if you have any kind of health stuff going on, skin stuff, hair stuff, there's a good chance that it's related to water. And water is what makes us run. We can live, a few weeks without food if you have water, but if you don't have water, it's a couple days.
Yeah.
And then you're toast, right? And we need it to live. It literally fuels us. But the problem is it's like putting just really bad fuel in a car, like the wrong fuel in a car if you're drinking bad water. Yeah. If the car needs premium because that's how the engine is built, that's what you should be putting in.
Don't get the green handle and put in your...
Don't put the diesel in.
You can tell I don't pump my own gas rate.
Well, here's the issue.
They're always like, don't use the green handle.
That's funny you brought that up because BP tricks people. Like,
oh, yeah,
their handles are freaking green
right.
on the regular gas.
It's now that you say that, yeah.
I look at it and thank God that they're different sizes and you don't go to grab the black
diesel
one.
into your car.
Because it's swapped at BP. So, anyways.
Your engine runs out. So that's what happens to your body, too, if you're putting the wrong things. Eventually. You never know. All different. Everything we put on our body, in our body, on our body, all that. Even to the skin, with the breast cancer, collagen, which I didn't know. Collagen is supposed to be good for you, your hair, your skin, your nails. And ever since, through this journey, I learned I'm not allowed. I used to take collagen, and biotin and all the... I'm like, we'll get into shows in the future of all of the wellness and all the natural things that we use that we know of, but I can't take collagen. So my skincare, which everybody knows I'm very anal about, I have a collagen cream. I am allowed to use topical because it's not enough. Yeah. But ingesting collagen is not good for certain things. It's good for things that's not going to hurt you unless you have something like PR or ER positive, because it does promote and stimulate, the collagen stimulates estrogen. So if you've had an estrogen positive type of cancer like mine, you're not supposed to ingest that. And my creams, me knowing about the skin and everything, I was like, wait, I put collagen on my face every day. And I was like, yeah, but it's so minute that it's not going to affect you now. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. But
Wow.
Being that said, with what you said earlier about helping people, hopefully our listeners or viewers know that our shows are really only to help someone in some way, each one, whatever it is, whether it's water, whether it's a mental health topic, whether it's a faith topic, a mindset. We're just doing the show so that if one listener is helped for whatever that is we're talking about that day, it's worth it to us. And so for like this with water, and can affect a lot of people in different ways, maybe one person out there will find it helpful and it's worth doing.
For sure. Yeah. So reach out if you guys have any questions. I said I'm literally a water nerd, so I'm extremely passionate about this. I'm all about education. So if anyone has any questions, concerns, comments, reach out directly to us. We can answer them. Thank you guys for watching. This is a great show. I'm super passionate about this one.
That's good, though.
Let us know. Like, share, follow on all the platforms, and let us know if there's something that you took from this show and you want us to talk about in depth, or any of the shows, or you have a specific topic that you'd like to
and if
talk
it's
about.
something that you don't feel comfortable posting on a public forum, we do have an email listed on all of our social media platforms, because I know sometimes with mental health you don't want to, it's got a bad stigma. So shoot us an email. There's no names named, and we'll do a show on that topic, or a few. Just let us know.
For sure. All right, Mikey and Amanda, we're
out.